it was so not like, interacting.
It's just
with
not the
us.
same
It was just-
vibe, is it?
Yeah, it just felt so
that's
isolated.
true.
Like it just felt like nothing special.
The whole year, we didn't remember it as well as the other years. The connection that was lost. That like it just slowly drifted, I guess.
Felt like just a bit more disconnected.
That's
It don't
actually
feel
one
same
of
at
the
all.
biggest. Yeah.
You think about, how what God has done as well, and you just slow everything down and just take a look at the world around.
Fear
It's
not,
mostly
do
talking
not be
about,
dismayed,
like,
for the Lord
how
God,
precious
even
you are
my
in God's
God,
eyes,
will be
and
with
like
thee.
how meaningful you are.
Salvation is not just the end, but like also the ruling with Christ. Because God is a sovereign God, and He knows what He's gonna do.
This verse can so easily be taken out of context, like,
Yo guys, what is up? This is the first TruthSeekers Podcast, and we have all six of us, right? Five of us.
that's five.
Yeah,
Five of us,
five.
yeah.
There are five, yeah.
And yeah, we're hoping to do more of these in the future. And yeah, let's go out into the group and introduce every single one of us. So I'm Srika. Wait, we're saying our names, right?
Oh, may as well, why not?
Yeah, I'm Srika, and I'm just chilling.
Yeah, and I'm just
Right.
going Matthew here.
Mark will make sure to like and subscribe in the chat. So yeah, do that. Alright, let's go into. Wait, you guys can see in the chat like who's first, and then it goes on to the right side. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's first?
I think it's
and yours?
different for every person.
Oh, is it different for
It's
everyone?
different,
Yeah,
speak
for me, it's
it.
Mark.
Yeah.
Alright. Oh yeah, okay. We'll do whose reference is first to like in terms of promise verses that we got in the beginning of this year. Who's the first from Genesis to Revelations in ascending order?
Has anyone got lower than 1 Chronicles?
Bro, I think that's hard. Everyone just shout out what theirs is like.
Yeah, but
No.
Proverbs,
Isaiah.
easy
Mine
Proverbs.
is
So.
Joel.
Oh, mate, I'm Matthew. I'm lost. Hey, let's go.
Wait,
Oh.
am I?
Matthew has Matthew, easy.
That's
Oh,
right, I
right.
do.
Oh, Matthew's got Matthew. Oh yeah. Well, we already introduced Matthew then.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I
Wait.
think
I'm Joel.
You're calm.
My
so. Nah,
name's
Joel's
not
like
Joel,
minor
like-
prophets, so I think that makes Ruth
I'm
the
first.
first.
Wait,
Yeah,
when are you, Bruce?
1 Chronicles.
Oh yeah, you're before me, aren't you? Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Easy.
And
Yeah.
Isaiah.
Go on. Ruth, what's good fam?
Ruth three.
Mine is 1 Chronicles 28:20.
Cool.
Do I read it down?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Okay. Fear not, do not be dismayed, for the Lord God, even my God, will be with thee.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, just to clarify,
Yeah.
New Year's promises are what we get at the very beginning of this year after this thing called Watch Night Service that we spend
Bye.
overnight from 10 p.m. to about 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. Sorry, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, yeah.
yeah, and so
Just
basically
clarify.
we just start the whole new year with the church and look to the Lord and His promises for us throughout the next year.
Mhm.
So the promises can be literally a blessing or an instruction, and some people might even make it part of their New Year's resolution if you guys believe in that sort of thing. So
Right.
that's Ruth Week's one, right?
Oh
Yeah,
my, wait.
that's
Could I just quickly interrupt? Before we do this, we do need to mention that normally, of course, it would be face-to-face, but as you all know, this year is a little bit different. So,
Last year.
Oh, sure.
sorry, yes, of course,
Same.
last year. I'm still in 2019, so I'll get used to 2021 eventually. But, okay, yeah, so maybe we should just explain what, like, can we just tell each other, like, what online learning is actually, online church, sorry, has been about?
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. Calm.
Bro, it doesn't even. It felt like it's just a bit more disconnected,
Yeah, honestly, that's
It
that's
don't
actually
feel
one
same
of
at
the
all.
biggest. Yeah.
Like I just felt like it's not the same, even with Watch Night Service especially, because I know like our Watch Night Service, like we all dress up in like suits and everything, like rock up, like it's chill.
Yeah, but
And
now
like
it's
we just have a good time, like starting the whole new year with God and everything, and with each other. But like honestly, our Watch Night Service, we just had Macca's and we just chilled, like it was so not like, interacting.
It's just
with
not the
us.
same
It's just-
vibe, is it?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
felt so
that's
isolated.
true.
Like it just felt like nothing special.
Yeah, like on the same topic, like the whole year, I feel like it didn't go, like it wasn't as memorable. Like we didn't remember it as well as the other years. Like the stuff
Yeah.
that happened like on a smaller context
That's
than
true.
our normal years. So like the
Yeah,
year
yeah,
went
yeah.
by quicker. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
And
you'll
then-
definitely remember this year, but like,
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
remember it for different reasons. Like
Yeah.
normally in like 2019, you remember for what happened in the year. 2020, you just remember because it's 2020, and that's just always going to be remembered as the year that just happened.
but no,
Yeah.
like we had some good things come out of it, right? Like we got like people from other countries, like
Oh.
able to preach to us from like their own
Yeah.
countries and stuff. Like that's
Such a
been
big privilege as well, because it's been
Yeah.
so enriching,
yeah, it's like different
Some
perspectives from far
yeah,
away.
exactly. And like, it's so good to see them also, like, making time for each one of us to teach us, and it's such a privilege.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so that's been. No one wants to add anything else about this
But
horrible.
Oh, and definitely our youth group definitely got worse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's had a
Like,
major impact.
Let's
Yeah,
not
I just think like because of like the connection that was lost, that like
Yeah.
just slowly drifted, I guess.
There's a lot of inconsistency as well, and people not being able to make time or like busy with other things, because we're all getting older in a way, and like we're
Yeah,
all
but that's crazy though, because think about it, like COVID, like you spend time all at home. There's like literally so much time to like still.
yeah.
No,
it's
the thing
weird,
is that-
'cause there's time, but there isn't enough time. While there is,
Good
and
explanation.
it's
Richard.
relative, yeah. But but nah, I guess it does really show though, because you'd always think, oh, I'm so busy, I've got to go to this place, and this place.
yeah.
But then COVID comes in and you've got nowhere to go, yet you're still
Yeah.
stuck in bed
Yeah, legit.
watching
like,
Friends.
I did. You really. Like
Cough,
I did.
cough.
Like even me doing tuition last year, it's been so good because I didn't have to literally go to any like places. Like I didn't have to drive anywhere. I just had to chill at home, just log in on Zoom, and that's it. Like
But you
have
have
to
to admit that it's
yeah.
been so much harder just to literally just learn anything, because
Hey, is it just me, or has anyone's work gone hard over the remote learning period?
no, not particularly. I just think it depends on the school as well. Like.
Yeah, true.
So some schools handled it really badly, and then like other schools done like pretty good. Like their scores have been like, I know my school, like the median's been higher than what it normally is, just because of the fact that other schools are doing so bad.
yeah, exactly. Some of them are just, but you don't blame them, because you
Yeah.
do have, like, for us, like one of our teachers are like way too old, and well,
Oh yeah, technology.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
an interesting obstacle for them to try and overcome.
No, but to be
And-
fair though, like I feel like there's a couple of teachers like, didn't your English tutor or something like, or your maths teacher, I think, like teachers like they're super old.
Oh yeah. Oh, honestly,
English teacher.
yeah.
English
It works so well at first, because you're thinking like, oh yeah, I'll be able to chill, just quickly log on, passively just.
Yeah, that's so true.
It doesn't, like, the only benefit was being able to just eat a good shin ramen during having English just going in the background, but apart from that, you don't get anything else.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, we forgot to introduce the rest of us. We only got
yeah.
We only
Matthew
got
and me and Srika and Ritik.
yeah.
Alright,
So-
yeah. Well, Mark, why are you so quiet?
I am Mark,
Yeah.
and I am related by blood to Matthew. So
That's a really weird way of saying it.
Like that.
We could just say we're brothers, but that works too.
they're
Yeah.
close enough.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, fair description. Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
And then there's another blood relation among us, I guess.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm Safik and I'm blood related to Sriko.
Wait, that
that's what we're
cannot be
gonna
a
call it
thing. Like, why are we saying that?
Uh,
Yeah. But anyways,
now. Okay, so
and then
okay,
and then
back-
there's just Ruthwick with.
I'm the
he just vibing.
But yeah, back to about church being online, and
Right.
then
Okay.
watch night service.
So watch night service was one thing, which I don't know personally. How did you guys find it on the other end? Because we held it at our place, so we had one of the uncles come through as well. It was it was a little stressful because we've had a few hiccups in the past.
Oh yeah,
So-
and like getting like songs on as well. I
Oh
remember
my,
that.
yes.
Songs online for everyone to sing at their homes.
That's true.
I have to ask, personally, from house to house, how many of you guys sang out loud?
I kind of hum sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, how much do you guys actually sing out loud? Like booming with
Sometimes,
your.
but not the same as it was in church. Like
Yeah, not as much as church.
I think it's like the mood.
And I guess that was one problem because for us,
And I
like,
feel like it's better when everyone else drowns out the noise. So
Yeah.
no one actually
And you're-
hears, like,
and there's always the biggest fear that your mic is unmuted and you just don't want to be heard on that Zoom call. That's like
Ooh,
paranoia.
those
I
are
feel like
bad.
we got some good voices here, Ritik.
Oh yeah,
I've got a horrible voice. Let's be honest.
nah.
Mhm. But anyways, let's go into your promise though. We read it, but like we didn't even.
Yeah, that's true.
Read it again.
Alright, sure. Fear not, do not be dismayed, for the Lord God, even my God, will be with thee.
Have you read more
That's
into it?
Chronicles 28:20.
So your one's about consolation.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to talk about what that means to you or Ursula or what?
Ritik.
I'm not gonna lie, not very prepared for this right now.
No, it's fine. What does it mean to you? Like,
Yeah, like when you read that, like what did you feel about it? Right?
Hmm. I guess just more of a comforting thing, like just saying, God is with you throughout everything, and like, during any circumstances you might go through, just being able to overcome it with the faith, knowing that God is with you and alongside you, and that you don't have to be stressed out about anything or through life's challenges, just trusting and relying on God.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with the fear not, like it's like it's telling you to trust in God rather than your own kind of.
Yeah, that's
Don't
true.
forget. And I guess that is really great, though, especially in context of the fact that 2020 was last year, and
Oh, yeah.
we already know exactly how much of where to begin, how much of stress has been going through, and how much of we really have been beat down hard. So it is interesting to know the fact that there is one thing of knowing that God's there, like we know that, but do we really take full advantage of that privilege?
That's a tough one because I feel like at times, for me personally, I've not been able to do that. Like, sometimes you forget the things that matter so much in life. Taking a moment to realize how much of a privilege it is that you have each and everything, and that is because of God. Through every and each providence, God has been your provider in everything essentially, and He's always there. So it's just amazing, And I don't think we take enough time to just slow down and look at it from a very from that perspective more often than not.
Yeah, especially with the newer generation, like us, our brains rush. We like belt out everything we think, and it's just interesting when you just slow everything down and just, look at the world as it is. Like, because I remember last year we went to the Grampians, right? And
Wait, the year before, you mean?
sorry, as I said, still in 2019.
Oh my god.
And you just stop and you take in the view and
That was amazing.
you think, especially when it hits you for the first time, because you think of, I'm so sorry to have to, take in like Bible bashing and whatever, but you do think about because recently I've been getting stuck finally back into the Bible, and that, when Peter talked about the great temple.
Yeah.
And then you think about, what God has done as well, and you just slow everything down and just take a look at the world around, and really it's a pretty good reality check. Sorry, but I ran.
Yeah. It's just like a perspective, I think, like looking into the future, like that's what it would probably mean to every single one of us, like in terms of like fear and not fearing and like looking to God, like it's just about like keeping it in the focus of God rather than our own focus, like our own thoughts, where we might feel like we might not be able to go through it, but like God's saying fear not. And like if you notice, like He always says fear not, even when the angels come to even visit people like Mary, like they always say fear not, because that's the first thing, like to trust in God and not stay by yourself,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Wait, so that was like 1 Chronicles. What's the next promise verse after this, you guys?
I
Oh,
think
was it me?
Yeah, it's you.
We got
Oh,
Joel.
It's your Joel, yeah.
Mine's Isaiah.
Yeah, mine's Joel. Oh yeah, my brother's first, I think.
Isaiah just come first. Wait, Mark, which one was yours?
Proverbs.
Oh yeah, so
Oh, so it's Isaiah, Proverbs, and
So
then
Marcus.
Proverbs, Isaiah, then me.
Mark, what was your thing?
Yeah, okay. So
What was your
my
word of wisdom? Sorry.
My promise verse was from Proverbs chapter 3, verse 6, and it was very short and simple. It was, "He shall direct thy paths." So,
Ooh, that's nice.
Wow, that's very short and sweet.
Yeah,
What do you reckon, Mark?
yeah, and like honestly, I think it was a really good promise verse to have like after the year of 2020, the year where everything was uncertain, where you didn't know what was going to happen. When one person got COVID, and then the next day another 9 people got COVID. Anything could have happened, and I think this just gives you the surety that God is in control, and that no matter what happens here on earth, that our paths are in the hands of the Lord, and that whatever happens to us is His plan. So yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's deep, yeah.
But it's even more better, especially when you come into the context of the rest of the verse. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and what? He'll direct your paths. So like, it just flows so beautifully. So,
Yeah.
So what was that? Proverbs 3 what?
3:6.
3:6, yeah.
Proverbs 3. Oh,
I just
yeah.
can't stop thinking of the Colin Buchanan song, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, this part is like probably one of those most famous verses kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely it's iconic as well, yeah.
But the thing is that really doesn't take down the meaning though of what it really says. And if
Yeah,
you
for
take it,
sure. I think it's refreshing to like look at it afresh. Like, you
Yeah.
just like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And every time you think that, like, honestly, this is not only just for promise verses, but this is just for every verse in the Bible that you think that, oh yeah, John 3:16, God so loved the world, yeah, blah 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 blah. You think it's so normal, so common that you just
Yeah,
it
hands
hits
down
you every time.
common verse, man.
Yeah, and that's what you think. Like you've learned it
Yeah.
from like what since you were like 3. That verse has just been rattled onto you, and then you think that you know it, right? And then it just takes that one level more, one level deeper, and you're like,
Dissecting it, it's just crazy how deep.
and it
can
doesn't stop. The thing is that
Yeah,
you think you can fully understand a verse, but then you take it one more, and you're like, whoa, wait, this is still here. It means it could take even a step further, and it really does amaze you, doesn't it?
It's
Yeah.
literally
I
wonderful.
think especially with this verse that Mark's talking about, like in the context of the chapter, like it's all about what teaching, like the rewards of teaching, and like what the rewards of that wisdom is. And like we know that our wisdom is from God, right? And like even Job says, like, where is wisdom found? And then he says, is it found in the deep or in the sky, or where is it found? And at the end he says it's from God, because that's where wisdom comes from. That's where and in the word of God, like we're able to get wisdom by reading it and studying it. And so looking to God, looking to the Bible as well, especially enables us to have sound teaching and to trust in God, basically. And yeah.
And then you've got the 1 Corinthians when Paul was just trying to say, you foolish people, like you thought that you're so smart with your Greek wisdom, and it was so ironic because that's what they really thought. They thought that, look at us, we're so smart, we've got all the Albert Einsteins, we've got Socrates and whatever, and the wisdom of
Albert Einstein, big man.
no, hey, let me
Big
walk,
man, where you
okay?
at?
But
Where
no,
you
I'm
at?
saying like they think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they're so smart, right? They think,
Yeah.
but and then you've especially got that verse that's like the wisdom of man is the folly of God. Or
Yeah.
sorry, maybe it might be the other way around, but either way, they think that they're so smart, and then you're so smart and so pompous that you disregard the word of God, thinking that, oh yeah, I know better, but you don't.
Yeah, and I think it hasn't changed this day as well. Like it's basically the same, but it's just in a different time, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And how often do we try and direct our own paths? And that really does go under the same thing. The beginning of the year, do you set a goal in life, or do you have a plan in life? Because those are 2 very different things. And how do you set that goal? Do you set it saying, you know what, I want to go become a billionaire. That's my goal in life because the word of God says to be fruitful and multiply, and to be fruitful, I need to be happy? Or do you actually really think my goal is to please God, or something along those lines?
That's
Yeah.
very well said.
Wow, that's a lot for Mark to take in with his promise.
Yeah.
Any last remarks, Mark?
No, I just think like this is a really good promise because as time goes on, you can just keep on adding to it. Because this is literally talking about like every single step of your daily life is in God's hands. So
That's true. Yeah.
That's to say, also like God cares about every step as well. Like
Hi.
that's really.
Oh yeah, now oh yeah, mine. Yeah, Isaiah 43:4.
Oh.
It says, "I have loved thee, therefore will I give men for thee and people for thy life." It's basically talking about like how precious you are in God's eyes and how meaningful you are, and also like the second bit where it says, "Therefore I will give men for thee." That's already sort of happened with God giving Jesus, for salvation. So yeah, that's already happened, and it could also be like about leadership, because like I know in some version like NIV, it says nations in exchange for your life. So yeah, that could be all about leadership as well. So yeah, it's meaningful.
What does that mean to you?
No, I just say what it means to me.
Right, yeah, but
Well, not really.
someone just needs more reinforcements,
Yeah.
don't they? More men.
do you think that like it had any special, not context,
Yeah,
but
like-
any special meaning that was added from maybe 2020 or what you hope would happen in 2021?
Oh wow, good question, Mark. That's nice.
Yes.
Wait, that I hope would happen in 2021.
Yeah.
I have to think about that.
I am.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
because honestly, Isaiah in itself is not an easy book.
it's a very very sick book. Like it's amazing. Like
The only thing I could think about is parallel it to just Revelation on like, you think that even on surface value in itself is so, personally at least, it's challenging for me, because you've got like the segments of it like, we all like sheep have gone astray, but
yeah,
then
so that's like the
goes-
That's like the judgment part, and now it's to the salvation side of things. It's kind of like it's just not just prophetic, but also in context with the Israeli people back then, having going through judgment, like with the surrounding countries around them, like Babylon and so on, and the Persians and the Greeks, like God still says, like, even though like you deserve all that punishment, it at the end of the day, like he's like, it's Israel still being redeemed, and like salvation is still going to be there, and like God still wants Israel to, in this context, to still have their power, still gain other nations, as my brother was saying. And so in that context for us as well, like even though we have gone astray, in the end, like we are still being redeemed, and in that, like we're reigning with Christ as well. It's not just like salvation and that's it, but like we also have the power as well, like through Christ.
Yeah, okay, because honestly,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I'm-
should I say?
No, yeah, you definitely go.
Alright, so what it meant to me was not much that I've like something that I haven't been acknowledging, not only 2020, but like even though I could do so much wrong, like God still wants me to be with Him for eternity. And yeah. I should probably acknowledge that more, like the coming year and more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's-
actively acknowledging it as well, not just knowing about it, but like actively acknowledging it by like actually changing the actions and like your everyday steps that you take. Like coming back to Mark's thing about like every step you take, like God's there, and like in that, like with His path and everything, and like through the Word of God. And so thinking about those actions that are particularly changed because of the way that your perspective is looking at that God still wants you to rule with Him. God still wants to, like, it's not just the salvation, not just the end, but like also the ruling with Christ.
Yeah. I'm out of my depth here when it comes to Isaiah. I really have not studied enough about it. So, but yeah, I guess you could only take it on face value. So after Isaiah is going to be
Joel.
Sorry. Yeah, Joel it is.
Yeah, it's mine's kind of a weird one to read on the first go. It's Joel 2:24. It says, The threshing floors will be full of grain, and the vats will overflow with the new wine and oil. Yeah, so it's like there's all food stuff, you know.
Someone's hungry.
Yeah, like I'm trying to fit here and I get a promise all about food. But, no, it's about basically this whole passage is kind of about how there is going to be devastation, destruction, and judgment for the Israeli people. And so, in that context, like God, for the first 17 verses, talks about how they're going to be judged. But after that, he talks about there's also the promise of deliverance. And that's from verse 18 onwards into going into my promise as well. And so it's mainly a book about restoration because of the fact that all the prophets come, like back in those days, the true prophets, they come like Jeremiah, Isaiah, and so on. They come with all these negative kind of judgments from God, right? And so Joel is more of a reminder that God will still be restoring the relationship between Israel and God himself. So through that, it's not just like a physical restoration, but also a spiritual one. And in mine, it talks about all these foods and everything being overflowing and everything being full. And that kind of talks about how Israel is going to be blessed. So for me, it's more about how it's not just about the judgment and not just about the past, but also looking towards the future that the deliverance is promised. And so in that, I can find more hope and security knowing that, you know, God's grace is enough for me to go on, and that in his deliverance, I'm safe in his deliverance, that I can trust in his deliverance, and that I can still have a relationship with God. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, that's mad. Because especially like when you think about it whenever the Bible talks about providence or abundance, there's only one thing I can always think about, and that's always just going back to then just how Jesus gives us life in abundance, and how we always just push towards like there's always a limitation in this world, right? And you're always thinking there's only so much that is humanly possible, and then God just takes it to infinite, and you're just blown away. And especially when it comes to divine providence, I don't want to go on for too long, but just how you always you think that God can only supply it in a single way possible, right? You only think that God could use this one method, and then he comes out of nowhere thinking you didn't think it was even possible, you weren't even wishing for it, right? But then it boils down to faith, and how far do you really want to apply that? Because of course God could take your physical grain, God to take your physical oil and make it physically overflowing, but you might need more than just oil and grain so far, because man does not live on bread alone. And also one other thing is just the miracle in Acts. When you're talking about oil, right, you could think about that woman that was the woman that needed the money, that was in need, and how did she get all the money back again? All the faith was required was just to gather as many pots as possible, and yet the oil was provided as much as she could take. That oil just did not stop pouring. And then you've got back to then the woman in the widow who only had a small morsel of flour and a small bit of oil left to burn the fire, and that just didn't stop pouring. It just didn't stop giving. And just on how that really does speak about how God's divine providence and God's just divine nature in itself.
Yeah, like one of the main things that, you know, like we've heard even when we were at your house was about the partnership between God and man, right, through prayer. And so our trusting and obeying in God allows God to fulfill his will through human beings. And the human beings that he's given the well to be fruitful and multiply, to be, you know, the stewards of himself, and to be in charge of the earth, and to kind of be in charge of all the creatures from the very beginning. When I was reading to Genesis, that's like very clear, right? And so with that, the partnership that we have with God, it's all built on this trust and obedience in him. And so when we obey and trust in him, what happens is that His will be done through us, and in that there's a lot more blessing and there's a lot more deliverance that's promised through not only to us but to be fruitful to show God's grace and His works to others as well. And so in that His deliverance is multiplied like sevenfold, even more, just through us being that partnership with Him. And that being promised to me enables me to kind of see that that partnership that I have with God is not just God giving us all these promises, us being astounded by it, but also to actually act upon that as well.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah. So
Well-
last but not least,
we've gone through Proverbs, we've gone through the minor prophets, we've gone through a major prophet. Let's have a turn to the gospel though.
yeah, Matthew with
Matthew, yes, Matthew's gonna talk about Matthew, and it's Matthew 7:7, and it's very short and sweet. Ask and it shall be given to you.
Yeah.
That is true indeed.
And it's something we should talk about a lot. And this verse can so easily be taken out of context. Like, I would love you'd just be able to so simply, you'd so simply be able to just talk about this. Yeah, and you could just ask for everything in this world. You could ask everything material, saying, "I want the latest car. I want a new house. I want this and that and this and that." And you could just try and claim this promise verse. But we know that God doesn't work that way, and God is just so much more than just a genie. And I know that we need to wrap up soon, but just one thing which we really need to, just one thing which I just love to just reinforce in this one thing is just on how there is that word of life movement. There is that backdoor which people think that they can just use God or somehow manipulate God, or I don't know, just find a loophole in the system, but you can't. And just
Facts.
and then we need to always ask according to God's will. And just the other part of it is, ask and it shall be given unto you, seek and you shall find, knock on the door. The one thing which is really important about this is that as much as it doesn't seem like it, it is still a conditional promise, because it's one thing to have something given, but it's another thing entirely to ask. To have faith, to ask. You don't ask thinking that you're not going to receive. You ask in faith that you will receive. So, yeah, but
that's
what does that guys
according
ring
to
true
God's
to you?
will as well.
That's so well said because it's so true. Because
Yeah.
I think many
God's will.
get that each and like there's always a condition. Like there's always something applicable in your life. Like not everything's gonna be free or not everything's gonna be easy. Just in any aspect of life, and this goes to say with the promise as well. Like there's a condition that's based on it as well.
Yeah, and I think it's also based on God's will as well. Because back to what prayer actually means to us, it's about that. It's about us enacting God's will on this earth, and so praying to God enables us to be aligned with His will as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, because God is a sovereign God, and He knows what He's going to do. It's just us aligning with Him in what He wants to do.
Yeah.
So that's basically it, Matthew.
We have a last topic.
Right, yes, of course. So just moving on to, since this is of course going to be our first podcast,
Yeah.
just to talk about looking into the future.
Yeah. Looking into the future, we're gonna post a lot more, right?
Right, yeah.
And
Definitely.
and keep scheduling a lot more of these podcasts. Plan them more.
But
Yeah.
one thing which I'd really like to start looking into is also more of the controversial side, because
Yeah, definitely with
discussion-based
debates, opinions.
Because one thing which you guys will understand about me is that I am really argumentative, and I will rant.
Yeah, Matthew, you talk a lot.
I'm so sorry. I should really shush.
That's
But-
good. 'Cause
That's just you.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, so we're definitely making that, not even if we believe in New Year's resolutions or not, but a priority to actually put out more content out there.
Mm-hmm.
No matter if it's horrible or just
get out
making,
there.
just put it out there. But yeah,
And we can get suggestions for topics.
Right,
Like
yes.
debating topics as well.
I
Yeah, on
hate
our
to do the
Discord.
most cliche thing possible, but if you guys could just leave it down in the comments below, or
Yeah.
we've got the Discord channel.
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to be
Discord
cliche,
channel will be also linked in the description as well to join.
right? As well as
So
the Instagram. Yeah, DM the Instagram account. The comments below, we'll be checking it.
At TruthSeekers Podcast.
Exactly, and we appreciate all you guys that have actually made it this far into listening, and we appreciate you all so much.
Like Mark said at the beginning, please like and subscribe, and also follow our Instagram channel as well, which is
At TruthSeekers Podcast.
alright. And we'll probably see you next time.
Next time.
Alright, see you guys.
See ya.
See ya.
We really just did do a plug.